sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with another race here at CAVOK Racing Network. We are here tonight for our race at the Alpha Tour Challenge here at Brands Hatch. And of course, I'm not going to do this by myself. We have Peter Lee, the expert of this track. Peter, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Pim. And boy, this is such a perfect track for these touring cars. I think we're going to see some really great action tonight.
I hope so. We do still, I'm hoping that our stream is going to hold it. There are some more, I've seen a lot of cars, so I'm wondering how that's going to happen. And another thing, I see a lot of fog. Peter, what's happening in Brands Hatch?
Well, you're right. It's not just an overcast day here in England, but it's dense fog and a pretty stiff wind, gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. I don't think the wind is going to affect these cars that much, but the fog, at a minimum, it's going to be a challenge for you on your camera work, Pim.
Oh yeah, I was expecting a lot, but I wasn't expecting this, so we'll see what exactly is going on. Oh, I do see already Peter will have some troubles. I'm gonna go quickly.
Well, the cars are on their pace lap. You know, Wojciech Swierdowicz took the pole position with a blazing time of 1:31.4, but he's followed by John Lauzon, Jerome Bojulas, the Slug, Francois Schink, Matt Shepka, James Carr, Logan McKenzie, Cody Hunley, and August Blondell, and that is your top 10 of the qualifiers. There's a grid here of 25 cars on really this beautiful, technical, hilly, up and down, classic British style track. Really just loved by all the great drivers. Well, as they come around, they're about halfway through their pace lap. You know, a couple of things we'll be looking for is there is a draft section that they're on right now, this long uphill and then downhill straight from turn 4 called Surtees down to the Hawthorne Bend that they're rounding right now. These next two corners, as they round turn 6, which is called Westfield, and then the infamous turn 7, Dingledell corner. And we're going to have to watch out here for a lot of potential off tracks. These are corners where you just have to have faith in the car. Just take it full throttle in third gear in these cars and expect the tires to hold. But any misjudgment, just being a little offline, will take you off into the gravel. As they round the left-hander, Stirling's Bend. This will be one of the possible passing zones, although it'll be quite difficult generally. And then they come down to the famous Clark Curve, which is a nice sweeping right as they get onto the front straight.
Yeah, Peter, we do have some disturbance on the line, so I'm gonna work on that as much as possible as we go here in that first line.
It does look like Wojciech Swierdowicz is getting off to a great start, and he's leading the pack through the start-finish line. Turn 1 in cold tires can be very difficult, especially in crowded conditions, but they all do seem to be navigating their way, tiptoeing their way through. Turn 2, Druids, expect to see a lot of passing opportunities as you have a heavy braking zone all the way down to second gear. Graham Hill Bend. Here, you're allowed to take quite a bit of off-track space. And now the most important corner in the entire course, 4, Surtees, as you try to get as good a launch as possible for the longest straight on this entire course, going steeply up the hill, and then as you go under this walkway bridge, down the hill into the Hawthorne Bend turn 5. And we're seeing Wojciech Swierdowicz is already pulling out a little bit of a comfortable gap on John Lauzon and the Slug. Oh, it looks like Jerome Bojulas has had an issue coming out of the Hawthorne Bend in turn 5. I'm not too sure what happened there.
Well, I'm glad you can see it. I have no clue.
Yeah, I'm just getting a quick replay of it, and It's just as we were saying, Jerome Bajulas was coming straight down to turn 5, just lost the rear end, went wide into the gravel, and unfortunately hit the wall. And he's now in the midst of a tow back to the pits. We also had on the first lap Ray Bartnikowski. For some reason, perhaps he was serving a penalty, had to start from the pits. But he seems okay, and he's trying to catch it to the field. So just to recap the running order as we are starting our second lap here, Wojciech Radovic is in the lead, followed by John Lauzon in the slug. Then they have a little bit of a gap to Francois Schenk and Matt Shepka running in 5th place, and then a tight pack involving Logan McKenzie, James Carr, and Gurkan Demir running P6, 7, and 8. And then a long train starting from Cody Hundley all the way back to Sean Gerd in P22, just all sticking to each other. And so as we come around, we're completing lap 2 as they come around Sterling's Bend. And you know, one thing that's so interesting about this race setup in the Alpha Touring Challenge, there are both Alpha Challenges, which are full 1-hour races with a required pit stop, but there are also sprint races. And this particular race is in the sprint format. So there will be a 15-minute heat. 15-minute heat has 20 points for the race winner, and then fewer points distributed down the field. And that sets the running order, the grading order for a second 15-minute heat, which also has 20 points for the race winner. But the top 4 positions inverted. And then that sets the running order for a 30-minute feature with a required pit stop with the top 8 positions inverted.
Well, Peter, and we do have again some images, so great to see that. Stratovic still in that lead. Jean Lauzon is coming right behind them. Great from him. He's coming back last race and is already on that second position. But where is Matt Sepka, our favorite of this race?
Right, Matt Shepka is running right now in 5th place, and he is right on Francois Schenk's tail. And, you know, from my way of looking at it, it almost looks like Matt is running a little bit of a smoother line. He might actually have pace on Francois Schenk. So we'll have to keep an eye on that battle just to see if Matt attempts to pass. This is not the easiest track for a passing maneuver. You really want to come out of turn 4 with as much exit speed as possible to give you a chance on that long back straight.
Yeah, someone that I didn't expect that high up is the Slug. He's currently on that 3rd position. He was actually mentioning that he wasn't that great in this track. Well, not that great, and 3rd position is something else, but he is trying to get back to John Lauzon. Needs to look a little bit back, sees Francois Zink and Matt Sepka right behind him. And of course, we haven't spoken about him yet, Logan McKenzie. 6th position, currently 2 positions up. But more importantly, he is our leader of the championship. It's running far away, but has a little bit more difficulties on this track.
Indeed, he does. And, you know, I think, you know, as he's trying to chase down Matt Shepka, it's interesting. You do get a draft effect where he is right now coming up this hill, but you know, you really have to be a little bit closer than he is right now to Matt Shepka. So he'll be desperate to try to close up that gap. And meanwhile, he has to watch out for James Carr, who is just on his tail. And so he has to be driving slightly defensively also. I think you're right, Pim. He has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, James Carr is the driver who is actually the rookie of the season currently. He's done an amazing job. He's always in that top 10, even in the top 5. And I'm very curious to see what he can do in these heats. It's just the first one, but we do see that they're now getting really that top 7 is becoming a real group. Behind there, we see Gurkan Demir. Gurkan Demir from the SNS group. Great to see him over here as well, and also really fast. He's in a group with Cody Huntley and Blondel. And I also think that Alex Alton is right over there.
Well, Pim, we were really admiring Alex Othon's paint on his car. Really a beautiful car. And in this fog, we can really appreciate the bright colors.
Oh man, I want to say that's my point of reference over here. And while I say that, I see in front of them Gurkan Demir is getting quite racy with Cody Huntley. Let's have a look if we can see that from Cody Huntley's position. Look at that, he's going side by side and Gurkan Demir goes back out. But that's not over yet. They are really starting to fight that battle over there. And that means that, well, everything to play for that 8th position.
That's right. You know, and I think that side-by-side battling between Cody Huntley and Gurkan Demir is giving August Blondel a chance to really make up the gap. And so now that is a 3-car battle. You could literally cover those 3 cars with a blanket, as we like to say here on the CAVOK Racing Network.
Yeah,
oh, and it does look. Oh,
what do we see?
It did look like Gurkan Demir went a little bit wide, and that allowed August Blondel to make a pass as they around the Dingledell corner.
And he's not the only one, because now Alex Alton says, you know what, I'm going to look on that outside line. Curious to see if he can make that. It seems that Gurkan Demir is going to defend that off quite nicely, but nevertheless, Alex Alton is going to make that run. And maybe he can go into this first run, because this is a nice straight. But oh, look at this, they're having a 3-way going over there, because also Rhodes is now involved in that one.
Well, Pim, I think Justin Rhodes is your favorite driver here, and all of this battling. You know, this just goes to show one thing about racing is if you do get into a side-by-side battle with a car, both cars end up losing time. And we saw the battling between August Blondel, Gurkan Demir, and Alex Othon, causing them to lose time and giving Justin Rhodes. Oh,
exactly. Oh, who went off there? That's Aaron Law, who missed it, but not that much. No damage, and immediately goes back up. Let's have a quick look in the front. We still see the Slug driving along over there with Francois Schenk and Matt Zepka. Behind them does come now Logan McKenzie and also James Carr, so that could be a group. But they need to fight hard, because look at this. Wojciech Sviatovic is already running away together. Oh, actually not together, all by himself. And then a little bit further in the distance, very difficult to see him with his fog, is John Lozon of Beaver Bus. Great to see him back, I have to say.
Yeah, he's just such a fast driver and really running strong. But you know, I think this battle between Francois Schenk running P4 and Matt Shepka in P5, this is right now the battle of this heat, because you know, that 4th position will run as the pole position in the 2nd sprint. And so Matt Shepka will be absolutely desperate to take that position away from Francois. And of course, Francois will be defending as hard as he can.
Yeah, no, and definitely, and you need to do immediately something, not what Matt is really good in. Those hourly races with tactical is his style. But now he needs to show that aggression over here. How do we call it? The Bajulas naked aggression?
It always swings between naked aggression or sublime strategic
yeah, well,
driving.
in these sprint races, it needs to be the naked aggression. And curious to see, he is getting closer and closer to Francois Schenk. So I'm curious to see if he's going to make some moves over here. We only have 5 more minutes in this heat.
You know, a little bit further back, you know, Alex Othon and Justin Rhodes are really tight. Yeah, and you know, Justin just smells blood there. He just wants that position, you know, from that P11 position that Alex Othon is currently owning. And you know, the real beneficiary of that battle is Gurkan Demir. It's giving Gurkan a chance to gap Alex Othon a little bit and solidify. Alex does go wide. He cracked into the pressure, and Justin Rhodes now has taken P11.
I love how you say that, because I think it is really that pressure that someone can build on. No pressure for Wojciech Sviatovic currently on that 1st position. John Lazar's behind there. And I do have to say the Slug is now stronger and stronger in that first position. And there we see there's going to be an overtake. Logan McKenzie is going to try to have that under. But Matt Zepka holds that outside line very, very well. And look at this. They're going now side by side in the other corner. And now Matt Zepka can close that door and can hold this line. But there we see the first time of Logan McKenzie coming into the front.
Yeah, indeed, that is giving Logan McKenzie and James Carr a chance to catch up a little bit to that group. And I think Francois Schenk is just loving seeing Logan McKenzie hassle Matt Shupka a little bit. It just makes it like a little bit easier there.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think James Carr needs to push a little bit harder if he wants to make Logan McKenzie work for it. Because now Logan McKenzie has a little bit of a free time. Can look where Matt Zepka is going. But Matt Zepka is going to be very, very close himself with Francois Schenk. Look at this. He is pushing it. We know he's been quick all time. But now he needs to show that in that last lap. And look at this. He's going for it. He's going for it.
Side by side, this is an extremely hard turn line. The clock curve.
This is difficult on that outside line. And this gives the opportunity for Logan McKenzie immediately to go to that inside line. And now they're going there side by side. And he's actually losing a spot over here. James Carr is completely back.
Wow, and I think there's now under 2.5 minutes left. I think there are only going to be 2 laps. This lap and one more will be the white flag.
Yeah, and James Carr is completely back in that pack as well. So Matt Zepka now needs to look forward and backwards, while Logan McKenzie is now making a move to see if he can go to Francois Schenk. Because I think that's the maximum he can get. That 1, 2, 3 from Wojciech Sviatovic, John Luzon, and Slugnificent is going to be that top 3 that we're going to hold. But important points here to give on this group. Francois Schenk, Logan McKenzie.
Yeah, it's not only important points, Pim, but these 4 cars are battling for the pole position in the second heat.
Yeah, we know how difficult it is to follow here, or to at least do an overtake. And I do think that Logan McKenzie is going to try it at least once.
Yes.
But where is he going to do that? Where does he has that space? He first needs to come all the way to the back. And then hoping that Matt Zepka is not coming. And there's James Carr going to have a quick look, but he can't hold that and goes straight out. And that means that he's out of there. Oh. Matt Zepka.
Quick update, Wojciech Sviatovic is just taking the white flag, so this is, in fact, the last lap of this heat.
Oh, wow. Well, I can't stop holding to wait for James Carr. He now passes Matt Zepka. Matt Zepka is going backwards and backwards. Well, it looks like the fog is getting more and more and more.
Just for the viewers, it is just about 9:30 a.m. in virtual simulation time for this race. And so we would expect the fog to start to lift, but you're right, Pim, it does seem to be getting heavier.
Yeah, and Matt Zepka is now fighting to actually get back to that position of James Carr. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the bigger fight is now with Logan McKenzie and Francois Schenk. And
Logan McKenzie trying to get overlap from Francois Schenk. Francois is running a tight inside defensive line, just trying to make his car as wide as possible as they come into the Hawthorne Bend. Beautifully defended.
Yeah, and while they fight, James Carr could be the laughing third one.
Quick update on Wojciech Sviatovic and John Lazan are approaching the final turn, the Clark Curve, comfortably in P1 and P2, the Slug in P3. And so we'll stay with this battle as James Carr tries to look on the inside of Logan McKenzie, has to pull back out.
Nah, has to pull out, but then comes straight back in and right in front of Matt Zepka. And both of them are really can't do anything anymore. And it's Logan McKenzie who is the laughing third in that one. Comes up to that 5th position behind Francois Schenk. And then is there still a fight? There's still a fight going on with Justin Rhodes and Gurken de Meer. Alex Alton comes on the 12th position. A little bit further back, Jonathan Beer is fighting with Savio over there, Dom Savio. And then Sean Gurt, Spencer Cocaine, Ray Bartnikowski. Not sure exactly what happened to him, but he's still fighting for that last position, 20th position. And then as last we see Brennan Shelton. Beautiful car. You can't see it, but believe me, it's a beautiful car.
Wow. Wow, that was some great racing. And so now we're setting up for the second 15-minute heat. And, you know, in this second heat, now the top 4 finishers of that first heat will be inverted, and then the rest will run in the order that they finished.
Yeah, it's a bit of a different sprint strategy than I normally always thought. 3 races. I'm very curious how much that is going to affect yourself as a driver. I've never done this this kind of setup. Have you, Peter?
You know, this is new to me also, but it is interesting. You are incentivized to finish as high as possible in these heats because of the point structure, but finishing 4th gives you the pole position. That here is Francois Schink. That's not a bad reward for finishing 4th. And so we'll have a full lap, pace lap again, and then a 15-minute sprint race. And then the finishing order here, again, will set the gridding order for the 30-minute feature. That 30-minute feature will have a fuel restriction that will require that every driver make at least 1 pit stop for fuel, and the top 8 will be inverted on the grid.
All right, so we're getting ready again. Cars are set up. We know what we can expect from this race. Curious to see if we see any different drivers coming to the top. Is Gurkan Amir coming any higher up? What is Matt Zepka gonna do? He's still on that 6th position.
Yeah, we'll want to see, Pim, if any of these drivers have learned something strategically, maybe seen something in the tendencies of the drivers that they've been battling with. You know, these drivers probably got a little better idea about how strong the draft effect is on this back straight that they're on right now. You know, it's such a challenging track to set up a pass, and so I think every one of these drivers is probably really just thinking hard about where to set up passing opportunities.
All right. Well, they're getting ready. So is the Slug on the first position? Hey, Francois Schink is on that first position. He took that really nicely. And the Slug right behind him, John Lozov, Wojciech Svidovic, Logan McKenzie, James Carr on that 6th position, and then Matt Zepka. Driving behind that pace car makes this track a lot slower, I have to say.
Yeah, it does. The one driver that we'll want to watch out for here is Jerome Bajulas. He had that first lap incident in that first heat, so he's starting in P23. But we know he has top 5 speed here, and so it'll be interesting to see what he does to try to work his way up through the field in this 15-minute sprint.
I'm not going to say it anymore, but I am. Naked aggression, that's what he needs.
Yep. Yep.
All right, pace car is off, and here we go. So this is a very good run from Francois Schink. Looks very, very clear. And it's the Slug and John Lozon right behind him. And they're going already side by side over there. John Lozon is having a look on the inside of the Slug. And oh, there goes
Jake Ashe, Jake Ashe and
Jonathan Beer, I think, was
yes,
involved in that.
Oh, yes. Oh, terrible start to that for those
that's something
drivers.
that you don't want to have. We do see big battles going on. Justin Rhodes and Gurkan Amir, Armis Blondel. I think they're going side by side over there.
It does look like Jake Ashe and Jonathan Bear did not have any issues with respect to damage, so they're back on track. But of course, they have a lot of work to do to catch back up.
Well, but have a look at August Blondel and Gurken de Meer, because they're going side by side on that first lap. They immediately go forward, and we saw that happening. August Blondel is actually now off track, and oh, too bad, because that was going on for a long time. Yeah, on that first lap, it's really, really difficult. And that means now that there's more battles going on.
Yes. And we talked about how dangerous turns 6 and 7, Westfield and Dingledell are, and especially on cold tires.
Look out! Naked Aggression is coming back. Jerome Bajulas, 7 positions up, currently on that 16th position. Just made the move on Sean Gert, but he's going to look forward, and maybe he can bring this group into that backtrack from Dom Savio and Eric Stetzer, who are driving in front of them.
Yeah, he's definitely charging up the field already, pretty much as we predicted. Meanwhile, back up front, John Lauzon is just side by side with Wojciech Swiatovic.
Yeah, and Wojciech Swiatovic has that inside line over there. Look at it, they go, no! You're getting a little bit pushed out, but... that
is elbows out racing right there. And now it's looking like John Lauzon wants to try to catch Wojciech Swiatovic's draft, but he's being now attacked by Logan McKenzie and James Carr.
I was just thinking, and right behind there is Matt Zepka as well. It's that same group that now comes back to this race.
Yeah, and here Pim will really want to see what these drivers have learned about it.
Alex Olton, stay on the track, please. We can see you as a car. You're my marker. You need to be there. He's currently in the top 10. He's trying to see if he can get Justin Rhodes in front of him.
Looks like he's okay.
Well, someone else who's okay is Francois Schenk. Look at this. He is comfortable in that lead, and the slug is right behind him. If they can work together, they can actually try to see if they can run away, because Wojciech Swiatovic doesn't have that draft, so he needs to do it on his own right now.
Meanwhile, back in P8, Cody Hunley and Justin Rhodes are in a pretty epic battle as they're coming around turn 1. And, again, as we are accustomed to seeing, Justin Rhodes just loves to take a look on the inside. Oh, the contact.
Justin Rhodes, what did you do? Cody Hunley got really... Well, a nicer pit maneuver I didn't see, but that was quite interesting. And while I say that, the slug is now looking on the inside of Francois Schenk. He's going to make it at least difficult, but it doesn't take that position. But now they're going side by side, and this gives a really good opportunity for Wojciech Swiatovic now to come back.
Indeed, that side-by-side battling is a big boon for Wojciech Swiatovic. He's now, only half a second behind. He's in their draft. And so this side-by-side battling, I think, Pim, you called it exactly right before. These two drivers at the lead should be working together to try to gap Wojciech Swiatovic, but instead, now Wojciech is right on the slug's tail.
Yeah, they're right on the tail, and he actually brought his friend John Lauzon and Logan McKenzie, who do there as well. And the slug is trying it again. Is famous for his attacking moves, but he now needs to look in the back, and he's going to defend very hard, because Wojciech Swiatovic was looking on that inside line, but that wasn't possible. I am curious what we're going to see in this first corner, because I also look at James Carr's position number 6. He is running quick as well the whole time, and this going double side by sides, I think. Seems that they're all going to make it.
That was well done. A little further back, there's a great battle for P8. There's P8, Justin Rhodes, who we were watching before. But Alex Olton and Gurken de Meer have really caught up to him. And, I think that they are both setting their sights on that 8th position that Justin has right now.
Yeah, I did. We were quickly looking at Willie Cox, who actually went off track and lost a couple of positions. But you're right. Here you see Justin Rhodes with Alex Olton and Gurken de Meer. Gurken de Meer, is he going to fight up here, or is he making sure that Alex can actually get closer to Justin Rhodes? So with the 3 of them, they can start to make something happening. That's not happening here in the front. The slug is still on the back of Francois Schenk. I think we're going to have to ask when this is going to happen.
Yeah. And, what's going through the mind of Wojciech Swiatovic? Wojciech has to believe he has pace on both Francois Schenk and the Slug, but just choosing his spot, try to make a move, is going to be very, very tricky.
No, you're absolutely right. And here we go. Let's have a quick look. What is Wojciech going to do? Is Wojciech going to go? At least he's looking on that inside line. Oh, this is so dangerous. And he has that car under control. But now it's the Slug who's coming back onto track. We had a whole discussion around that. And while I say that, look at James Carr. James Carr is actually passing Logan McKenzie right now.
Yeah, so a very, very similar move. It's they're going side by side through these tight corners. Incredibly dangerous.
And exciting racing. We're 7 minutes of the 50 minutes, so halfway through this heat.
Boy, Pim, I have to say, this track is proving to be just ideal for these cars. It's just really inviting a lot of side-by-side racing. Really close, very technical.
Yeah, look at this this group here in the front. I couldn't pick one. It would be easy to say Wojciech Swiatovic, but I'm going to put my money on John Lazar. Look at him.
Well, they are all looking, and you really then have to throw in Logan McKenzie and James Carr. Really, these top 6 drivers are all looking very, very fast. And any shakeups up there, any incidents, even give both James Carr and Matt Shepka running in positions.
All right, here we
6
go.
and 7.
Wojciech Swiatovic is working on that and takes that inside line. He's done that before and he's doing it again. And immediately the Slug is saying, okay, Francois Schenk, you're out of control. I'm going to take that part as well. And suddenly Francois Schenk loses his first position and is back in that 3rd position right now. And while I say that on the, I think, first corner, Gurkan Amir actually overtook Alex Olton. And I think Errol Lahr is going to do the exact same thing. Yeah, he's doing the same thing for Don Savio. So that is a really good place to overtake. But let's go back to the front. Wojciech Swiatovic, what is he going to do right now? Is he going to pull on that group and see how much people are actually going to stick over here?
Right. And, what is the Slug thinking here? The Slug has to be thinking he has to keep in Wojciech Swiatovic's draft any way possible. Francois Schenk has got to be thinking the same. Very, very difficult. This battle, this is the top, 6 or 7 cars. Actually, it's the top 7 going from Wojciech Swiatovic all the way down to Matt Shepka in P7. They are just stuck together like glue.
Yeah, I hope Matt Shepka doesn't wait too long and he goes in to that attack. We are now having 6 more minutes. And the time is clicking, and we do see, look at that, what is James Carr going to do? Is James Carr going to have a look on the inside? No. It's so funny, if you do that and you miss your turn, then have a look at Logan McKenzie, because he immediately comes any closer and closer. He needs to defend, not even attack over there, but James Carr needs to defend over there. Otherwise, Logan McKenzie is immediately right over there. And there is a little bit of a gap.
It's time for a Jerome Bajula's update. Jerome is now up 12 spots into P12.
Oh, wow.
And he has his sights set right now in P12, but looking at Ronald Method right in front of him, and has just closed up tremendously out of turn 3.
Yeah, no, you talk him through, because now he takes that really nice.
Wow, now that takes him up another spot. He's running in P11, which is incredible.
We've seen this so many times. He is really the driver, but now needs to defend. But I think he has just really a lot of speed. Got a lot of points for Beaver Bus on his own. And together with John Lazar on that 4th position, they're running quite a good ship on the moment. But look at that for team points. The Slug and Logan McKenzie again in the top 10 score a lot of points. We'll have to look in when we are in our break. Maybe we can have a look in our standings.
Yeah. You know, as we look back also, back down the field, there's a great battle for P14. Sean Gerd is in P14, but Aaron Law, I think, has even made a little bit of light contact with the rear bumper of Sean Gerd. So Aaron's definitely just desperately trying to find some way around to take that 14th position.
Yeah, and he is very close, but maybe a little bit needs to look at where he's going to do it. He's not going to do that in that first turn like Wojciech Svidovic was doing. So then you need to find a different spot, which is going to be making it a little bit more difficult. Eric Stutzer is right behind them as well, so it's not just them.
You know, Aaron Law is one of the Sunday Night Skippy drivers, and the Skip Bar Performance 2000 drivers are very, very familiar with this track. And so it'll be interesting to see if Aaron can use his knowledge of the track to find some way around.
Yeah, let's go back in.
Back up front, you know, that battle for P3, I think you were just about to call it, weren't you?
Exactly. I'm going to take a sip of my Coke and let's go, because look at that. That's going to be an interesting battle. John Lozon, my guy, or at least my guy for this race. I think he's going to make a move over here very, very soon to Francois Schink. He's going to go too slow and he needs to go back to the slug and Svidovic. Say that 10 times.
You know who's looking really impressive, though, in the first heat and in this heat is James Carr. James Carr is running in 5th position, and, you know, he's just lurking there, you know, right on John Lozon's tail. And, you know, I think he's just waiting for his opportunity, just any wiggle that, you know, that John Lozon might have here, which is very easy to happen when you're running nose to tail with, you know, with Francois Schink the way he is.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's, you know, the special thing is also that those guys are really new to this league, or we're 7 races in. Together with Matt Zepka is a little bit longer here, but if you see how much they have grown through this season, it's just phenomenal. And that's why they're now up there with the slug, with Logan McKenzie. Logan McKenzie, 3 times champion of this AlphaTauri Challenge. So yeah, he knows what's happening. And look at this, John Lozon. John Lozon is going to take us on the outside. I think that's a really impressive move, because then you have to do that double over here, have to do that right over here again. And he's not going to be able. And then immediately it's James Carr who now takes that 4th position. And this is what I was talking about. If you make that mistake and you can't overtake, then immediately you go backwards. And oh no, look at this. But they're holding it. How can you hold that car, James Carr? How can you hold that car?
James Carr is going to... That is incredible.
And this is going to be Logan McKenzie all over. Look at that. Logan McKenzie tries to go on the outside. That's a big bang over here from Matt Zepka, I think that was. And Matt Zepka is going out of that fight now, together with Logan McKenzie. It's now really James Carr, John Lozon, Francois Schink that are doing it. Or not even Francois Schink. Francois Schink is also a little bit further away.
Wow. A quick update, Jerome Bojulis is up to P10 now. He's just passed Alex Othon for that 10th position and is now hunting down Gurkan Demir.
Let's have a quick look what exactly happened. Oh, I think Matt Zepka just came in a little bit too hot, tried to save that, and then used, I think, the side of Logan McKenzie. Logan McKenzie doesn't seem to be having much damage, so they can all continue, but will be a little bit losing in the battle. And are now actually into a battle with Justin Rhodes over there.
That P9, that last turn is a slightly off-camber turn, and so you can really wash out just the way that it happened for Matt Zepka.
Yeah, and don't look now, but right behind them, 10th position currently, 13 positions up, Jerome Bajulas, driver of the day up here. Nicely done, and I do have to say, Peter, the sun is getting out a little bit more. We may be able to see, maybe we can get the chopper up and see if we can get some drone views, but looks a little bit better up here. Oh, look at that, Wojciech Svidovic already takes a position. The slug is in there. Francois Schink has to fight for with John Lozon, but also he can't take that. Whoa, time goes really quickly. That position number
Does.
6, Logan McKenzie, Matt Zepka, Justin Rhodes. I see Gurkan Amir, Jerome Bajalas is taking that 13 of the 10 position. And then Alex Alton. Whoa, that went really quick, 50 minutes.
That just flashed by.
Not really, and that's the thing when you're just with the two of you in this broadcast booth. Miss that sometimes, but still great result for Wojciech Swiatovic. Came a little bit further back, I think position 6 where he came from, and fight his way all the way up to that first position. Congratulations to the Slug on that second position, and then Francois Schink who finish up in that podium. John Lozon 4th, and then James Carr. All right, so that was our second heat.
Well, and now we will have a short 10-minute break here for the drivers, and then the 30-minute feature. And again, just to remind you, the grid is set based on the finishing order of what we just saw there, but the top 8 finishers are inverted. So that means that Justin Rhodes will be sitting on the pole for the 30-minute feature. Fuel will be restricted, so these drivers, in order to finish the race, will have to pit for fuel at least once. So
yeah, and Peter, before we go take a small break, I do want to have a quick look for the standings. See Logan McKenzie, maybe the reason why he didn't take too many risks and was quite happy on a top 5 position. He is running away here in the standings. 8 races done. Logan McKenzie on that first position with 340 points. And then the Slug right behind him, his teammate. So we will see that back in team standings. And then we see Jerome Bajulas, Francois Schink, James Carr, 5th position. Matt Zepka made quite a jump up here up to 6th position, and then Wojciech Swiatovic, if he's there he immediately wins, but he did have some races where he couldn't make it, and that's why he's on that 7th position. Jacob Wally 8th, and then Cody Huntley, George Zuniga, David Bauer, Ronald Madhot, Justin Rhodes, and Aaron La on the 14th position for this week.
Yeah, and for those viewers that are confused as to why Francois Schink with 295 points is behind Jerome Bajulas in the Slug, it's because there are drop weeks, and so some of the races are allowed to be dropped, and that will end up dropping him down to that 4th position.
All right, well, and then we see Yellow Flag Motorsport taking that first position. Torque Steer Racing right behind there with Ashe, Bartnikowski, La, and Zepka. So 4 people in that team. Matt Zepka scoring a lot of points last race, and maybe he can score some more in this race as well. Beaver Buzz, one of the few that actually made a move up to the 3rd position, together with Bajulas and Lozon, and then Gasparilla Motorsport. And here we have that newcomer, Axiom Autosport, with the team of Wally, make that 5th position. So that was a little bit of those. Let's have a quick break for now, Peter. I think we have 2 more minutes, so if we want to go to any toilets, then now is the moment. And we will right back after this. All right, and welcome back to another part of this race. We're not over yet. Peter, what do we have in stock for our viewers?
Well, we have our 30-minute feature race for these Alpha touring cars at Brands Hatch Circuit in England. And we just had two incredibly exciting sprint heats, 15-minute sprint heats. The second heat set the grid for this feature, but with the top 8 drivers inverted. And that's going to put then Justin Rhodes, who finished P8 in that second heat, as our pole sitter, followed by Matt Shepka, Logan McKenzie, James Carr, John Lausanne, Francois Schenk, the Slug, and Wojciech Sredovic.
Yeah, and Peter, we do have some people in the broadcast in the chat who are asking who the Slug is. Well, the Slug is a person who you need to count for. One of the leaders in this championship, or at least one of the persons that you always need to look out for. Either he comes first or he crashes. So I'm curious to see what we're going to see in this race. But one Ling in the chat, that's going to be dangerous. We've seen him in the skip. He is so fast. If he could get to know this league, then they have to have a look at that.
Absolutely. You know, I think what we're seeing in this league is that a lot of drivers who traditionally have stuck with open wheel racers, like the Skip Barber Formula 2000 cars, have entered this league and are really enjoying the ability to, rub doors with other cars, to do a little bit of bump drafting. You have the draft effect very strong in these cars. You have a great ability to run with extreme brake bias in order to control the natural understeer of these front drivers. And then, a lot of these folks in this league actually own the actual cars. These are wonderful cars. You can own a Honda Civic Type R and use it to get your groceries. And so then to be able to drive them in anger, in iRacing against other great drivers, it just put it all together. It's just a great scene.
No, definitely, and here we go. We see Justin Rhodes and Matt Zepka on that first row. James Carr right behind there together with Logan McKenzie. Then Francois Schenk, John Lausanne. We see the Slug, Wojciech Sredovic. Nice little couples over there. I am very curious with Justin Rhodes in that first position. We don't see him often over there. So great to see that he can actually lead this pack. And curious to see what Matt Zepka is going to do. Is he going to make an early move to see if he can get rid of Logan McKenzie and John Lausanne? Because that's right behind them. And then James Carr and the Slug.
It's really a good call out, Pim, because for both Justin Rhodes and Matt Shepka, we're used to seeing them as the hunters, always behind another car, just lurking, looking for an opportunity to pass, applying pressure. But now they are going to be the hunted as this feature race starts. And we'll get to see how they hold up under that kind of pressure.
Exactly, and do pay attention about the Beaver Buzz from Jerome Bajulas. Currently 11th position up, but he is already 13 positions up from his last race. So this is going to be exciting. See if he can do anything more. He is in touch with Wojciech Sredovic and Gurkan Amir, the Slug right over there. So I think if he wants to do something, he definitely still has a chance for that first position. But currently that is on Justin Rhodes and Matt Zepka, who will take this lead in this group.
Absolutely, and let's keep an eye out also for James Carr. Those first two sprints, James was looking awfully racy, and he's starting here in P5 for this feature race. He could cause some trouble for these other drivers here. He's looking just very determined, very fast, and very comfortable here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, and then we don't talk about Logan McKenzie, the obvious choice, the one that has already won 2 races up here. Is he going to make a third one happening? I'm curious to see that, but currently we see Justin Rhodes and Matt Zepka going in, and immediately Logan McKenzie is already going to make a move right over there. Look at that. Side by side now with them, and side by side behind there as well.
That's been a major accident involving August Blondell, Spencer Cockayne, Ray Bartnikowski, Jake Ashe. A terrible start to the feature, and several cars are now in the midst of a tow.
Oh no, 2 team members who actually got rid of each other, and man, that's gonna hurt for that team. Currently, we do see that. Let's have a quick look. If we go back to the front, if I can get back to the front, yes, I can go back to the front. We see Justin Rhodes still in first position. So he done a really good job, and Matt Zepka is now holding off Logan McKenzie, and right behind their teammate of Logan McKenzie, Slug, and then Francois Schenk and John Lauzon, who are going side by side. John Lauzon immediately gonna make a move. Look at that. He pushes Francois Schenk, but just on that limit, and with that fight, they're losing a little bit of touch with the guys in front of them, Logan McKenzie and the Slug, who are actually losing a little bit the touch of Matt Zepka. Is Matt Zepka going to lose those 2 guys? That's going to be impressive.
Yeah, and it looks like Matt Zepka is using Justin Rhodes' draft in order to try to provide a little bit of a gap.
Oh, look at Wojciech Swiatovic. Wojciech Swiatovic is already trying to see if he can get past John Lauzon, and then right in front of there, Francois Schenk. This looks dangerous. John Lauzon goes to the outside, and a little bit too much to the outside, loses a lot of positions over there.
He does make a save.
Swiatovic is just continuing.
Just a quick update, Spencer Cockayne did go off the track at Sterling's Bend Turn 8. He's back on track, but he's looking damaged and limping back to the pits.
Yeah, we see a lot of people. I see Cody Huntley also crashed, but Justin Rhodes doesn't matter that. Justin Rhodes says, I'm going to take that lead, and he's actually holding that lead quite strongly. Matt Zepka's difficulty actually to get back. Logan McKenzie is right behind there together with the Slug. They can now think of what they actually need to do. Are they going to already attack? They are running away a little bit from Wojciech Swiatovic. Now is the chance to actually do that. 1.4 seconds. Let's see how this will be in the next lap. Is that going to be more? Or is Wojciech Swiatovic slowly bringing James Carr, John Lauzon, and Francois Schenk back into this fight?
You know, these turns 6 and 7, Justin Rhodes has just beautifully smooth and fast lines, and it's allowing him to pull out a little bit of a gap. Now as they round turn 9 and onto the front straight, it's giving him a chance to try to break the draft. He hasn't quite done it, but he's looking very, very smooth in that back technical section.
And we just saw that James Carr actually overtook Francois Schenk. I'm not sure what exactly happened, because it looked more of a mistake from Francois Schenk, but James Carr doesn't matter that way. He's back up to 7th position, still 3 positions down from where he started, so wants to have a little bit more, but then he needs to look at John Lauzon and especially Wojciech Swiatovic. We were talking about him. Look at that. Wojciech Swiatovic is nearly back into draft. This is half a lap. That guy is phenomenal, and he can bring this group, and we can have a complete big group. And while I say that, I see in the fight behind there Alex Olton, Gurken Demir, and Wiley Cox, who are fighting for position number 10 or 11.
Yeah, don't forget Aaron Law in that mix as well, and they've been exchanging positions pretty much every lap. It does look like Alex is going to try to break away here, but you know, they've been in a battle since the start of this race. Here we are on lap 3.
And I do want to look at the front again, because I'm a little bit worried what's happening. Are we going to miss anything? Now, currently not. Francois Schenk is... the Slug is still there. And look at this. Just a Rhodes makes a mistake.
Matt Zepka has outbraked Justin Rhodes coming into turn 9 and has taken the race lead.
Yeah, I do think that Justin Rhodes made a small mistake, and then immediately it's Logan McKenzie now who also says, you know what, I'm going to go to that inside line, and he needs to hold that brake. And I do think it's even the Slug now who smells blood. And Justin Rhodes is dropping more and more and more. And look at that, Wojciech Swiatovic is already making to see if he can get there. And suddenly Justin Rhodes loses it all. Hope he comes back over here.
Boy, you know, Pim, we've been there. You know, sometimes when you're in a tight pack.
That was, I think, John Lozon who got turned around by James Carr.
Taking another look.
Yeah, let's have a quick look what exactly happened over there.
I think you're absolutely right. I think you called that exactly right. It does look like James Carr just had a little bit of tap there. You know, it's possible that John Lozon had to lift a little bit because of the car in front of him, but boy, that's unfortunate and is in the midst of a tow.
But look at this, Matt Zepka is back on that first position. Last race he was so close in that fight on that last lap with Logan McKenzie, and now he's on that first position, and he actually is nearly running out of that draft. He makes Logan McKenzie and the Slug really work for it. They're really having a difficult time to actually catch up with him, and that means that he is safe in his first corner. And that can't be said about the Slug, because look at that, Wojciech Swiatovic is getting closer and closer.
There is, you know, quite a train here. We have Matt Shepka who's trying to create a gap, but then we have this train, Logan McKenzie, the Slug, Wojciech Swiatovic, just a little further behind Justin Rhodes and James Carr. Francois Schenk now catching up.
And look at this, the Slug is now overtaking Logan McKenzie. He says it's not going quick enough. We need to catch up with Matt Zepka, because Matt Zepka is out of the draft. And he is now taking that first position really, really strong, and he needs to hold on. Let's drive along with him. Great from him, look at that. Keeps moving and moving up.
Such smooth driving, you just see smooth, precise motions of the steering wheel, very, very smooth, and that's really what's required here. These cars, you know, don't have all the biggest horsepower in the world, so you really have to carry momentum through these corners.
Yeah, and there's a big group behind him. It's the Slug, McKenzie, Wojciech Swiatovic. Pay attention on Wojciech Swiatovic, because he's going now on that inside line of Logan McKenzie. Logan McKenzie can't hold that and doesn't want to defend that. Let's Wojciech Swiatovic going in the front, because they need to hold on. They're now really losing time on the Slug. The Slug is making a big gap over there as well. The Slug is back into track now with Matt Zepka.
Quick update on Jerome Bourjulis. He's worked his way up. He's just managed to pass in turn 1 past Ronald Methot, and is now running in P8.
Yeah, and then he needs to run a little bit faster to actually catch up with Wiley Cox and August Blundell, who are driving right in front of them. And then Jonathan Beer had some incidents in our first races, is now currently 15th position, 6 positions up from where he started in this heat. All right, but let's go back to Matt Zepka. Is Matt Zepka going to hold it? The Slug is getting closer and closer. That draft is helping. I don't know exactly what happened, because Matt Zepka was out of the draft, but suddenly the Slug is pushing a little bit harder and is really making that speed. But maybe that's not too bad. Maybe if Matt Zepka and the Slug can hold off together and work together. But it doesn't look like they're working together. And look at that, the Slug just put up the fastest time over there.
We are now approaching the 10-minute mark of this 30-minute feature race. And keep in mind that these drivers will have to pit for fuel, and the pit window is open probably right now. And so it'll be very interesting also just to watch the pit strategies play out here.
Really, Peter? Do they have to pit as well? Wow.
Yes.
I like that part, because then we at least have some still strategy going on. And Mazepka is good in that part, so he can still work that out. But I do see now they're getting all slowly back. The slug is looking on the inside, looking on the outside of Mazepka, but is not making a move. But it does mean that Wojciech Swiatovic is now completely back over there. And it will take a couple of, I think half a lap before they actually can form a threesome over there. And then you see Logan McKenzie and Justin Rhodes. Justin Rhodes, who had that first position, is now back into fifth position, but is holding on over there. Seems that he's back into his rhythm up there, and maybe together with James Carr, Francois Schenk, they can go up. Then it's already Jerome Bajulas, and look at that, Jerome is making that car slide, and Ronald Methold said, well, thank you, I'm going to take you on the outside. And I do think that, yeah, that's difficult to defend. Jerome needs to come back up.
Oh, in turn one, we have side-by-side action between the slug and...
Oh. Look at that, and that's what we want to see from Mazepka. Look at that, he defended that inside line, he was there, and he said no, close that door, and that really means that the slug is now dropped a position, because when you can't make that attack, immediately you will drop, and Wojciech Swiatovic says, thank you very much, I'm going to take that second position, and I'm going to see if I can get any closer to Mazepka.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, going back, you know, we do see, you know, Gurkan Demir also now trying to hold down P11. He's got Alex Othon, Aaron Law chasing him down. And ahead of them is Alex Othon and Jerome Bajulas. And so I think it's looking like we might see a group of 4 cars here all battling for that 8th position.
Yeah, or maybe working together to actually come back up to that back a little bit. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Let's have a quick look in that track map. Yeah, they're not far away. They could actually make that work. I am curious what the slug is going to do, because the slug is now getting a little bit more aggressive, wants to have that second position back, and even more. And is now getting into the attack mode, but Wojciech Swiatovic holds on that inside line, and it's no way that he can make that move. He's actually making the move on Mazepka. Look at that, Mazepka needs to hold on that outside line, has a lot more momentum, comes back into that and holds on. Though he can't hold on, and I'm curious to see if he can hold on to that second position, or is it immediately going to be the slug there who actually fights with him.
You should have a good inside line here as they come into turn 3 and turn 4. This is now so important, the exit here as they come into turn 4, and they're going to be very severely compromised. It's going to be a drag race up the hill, this long back straight as they come up the hill and they pass under the footbridge and then start going down the hill. They'll have now a series of right-handers that should give Wojciech Swiatovic an advantage.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Wojciech Swiatovic. I'm looking a little bit more at the slug, because he's coming in there as well, and they're going side by side continuously right now. Look at this, Mazepka needs to hold on. He's pushing a little bit on the slug, but they are really making this a nice fight and holding on to there. But it is Wojciech Swiatovic now in that first position. The slug back up to that second position, and Mazepka lost back up to third. And then Logan McKenzie, James Carr, Francois Schenk. I've seen this before, Peter. Seen this before.
Indeed, it's now a very familiar running order.
Oh, and look at that, James Carr going into the pit. James Carr is going into the pit.
So it's possible James Carr was feeling a little held up by these drivers in front, and is hoping to do a little bit of an undercut. Well, let's see if it works out. Aaron Law also coming in for his refueling stop.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there is also the chance that they have a penalty, but I don't think that was the case with them. And they're now fighting over there. And while we say that, look at Ronald Methold and Jerome Bajulas. Jerome is losing a little bit of touch, and Ronald Methold immediately says, thank you very much. I'm going to take that line. And they're now continuing going side by side over here. And it is for position number 6, so...
So Jerome does manage to make the pass, although I think Ronald Method is still not giving it up.
No, he's not giving it up. He's like, okay, let's fight naked aggression. I can do that too.
So we have had several takers. John Lauzon came in for a pit stop, as well as Aaron Law, Wiley Cox. So we'll see more and more. But, you know, the pit window for this feature race is pretty wide, and so I think it'll stay open for another 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, let's pay attention about James Carr, who is in that pit. And look at that, the slug is really defending hard for Medzebka. Medzebka needs to hold on over there. I do see that Logan McKenzie's dropping off a little bit. Maybe these three can do something together. Medzebka was on that first position, but lost his way while Wojciech Swidovic was fighting, and the slug immediately came back over there. But maybe Medzebka can do the same thing when the slug is going to make a move on Wojciech Swidovic.
You know, a little further back, Pim, you know, the battle right now between Francois Schick and I believe that's Justin Rhodes. Yes, Justin Rhodes behind him. That battle for P5 has really heated up. And so Francois has taken that 5th position from Justin Rhodes, but, you know, Justin is just... Again, you know, Justin just always looks so racy when he has a car to attack, and you're just seeing that again here as Justin is just trying to find a way. Oh, and in fact, he is going to take an inside line coming into turn 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was close, and that's also Justin Rhodes. Always makes it very, very tight, but this worked really well, and he can hold on. I do have to say, Francois Schenk is not the worst one to have in front of you. Very, very quick driver. I would wait a little bit and see if he can get us back to Logan McKenzie, because Logan McKenzie is running in front of him together with Medzebka, and then you already have the leaders over there, and we do see Medzebka going into the pit. Medzebka going into the pit. So that's a different tactic. He have seen enough, knows how quick everybody is running, and says, I'm going to take that pit, and let's have a quick look how he's going to run out with James Carr. Because James Carr already did that pit stop.
James Carr is rounding the last corner now and is on the front straight. And it's looking to me like James Carr will easily take over the position, although...
Easily! Look at that! I am not sure what happened with that pit stop of Medzebka, but that is a big loss of him, and he needs to fight him all the way back. Is now in his own rhythm, but now needs to look back, because I think Cody Huntley, Cody Huntley is behind him, but I think John Lauzon is also behind him. If I'm correct. Yeah, that's John Lauzon. I know that car.
So coming back to that battle for P3, Francois Schenk and Justin Rhodes continue to go side by side through the turn 6 and turn 7 complex. In fact, they are side by side as they come into turn 7. And, and they bump doors.
And I did miss why Logan McKenzie is suddenly behind those guys. But he has a nice view of this. Look at that. And they're going side by side again. And Justin Rhodes get now pumped all the way to the back, but he can hold it onto oh, this is going to be tight. Logan McKenzie's going to go on that outside. Does have a better run. And when I say that, yes, Justin Rhodes goes in together with Francois Schenk. The slug is in. So that means that Logan McKenzie is now moving up to that 2nd position, right behind Wojciech Swidovic, who is just going to run it. He knows he's quick. He doesn't need anybody else. And he is showing us his real speed over here. Peter, you have to make a word for Wojciech Swidovic, his speed. Because that is impressive. And while I say that, I do want to say Medzebka is now overtaking Justin Rhodes. Francois Schenk, Jerome Bajulas, but is missing on the slug. Look at that. The slug is a little bit further away. And James Carr is up there, and then Medzebka. Medzebka does make a lot of speed up, I think.
Yeah, he does, but it's looking now like the slug has been the big winner out of the refueling stops, along with James Carr. And so amongst the drivers, you know, that have made their refueling stop, the slug is running in the lead with James Carr and Matt Shepka. running P2 and P3. Now, of course, we do have Wojciech Swirdowicz, Logan McKenzie, and Gurkan Demir actually running P1, 2, and 3, but none of those 3 drivers have yet made their refueling stops.
No, the Slug is really the first one who is there, and it did have 10 seconds. But look at James Carr. James Carr only had 8.7 seconds in pit stop. That is or amazingly fast, or a little bit too less. I am very curious if he's going to make it to the finish line. Already does need to fuel. And while we say that, Wojciech Swirdowicz, Logan McKenzie, and Gurkan Demir are now going back into the pit.
And so then that will allow the Slug, James Carr, and Matt Shepka to take the top.
Well, Wojciech Swirdowicz.
That was an incredibly fast pit stop by Wojciech Swirdowicz. And so
that was really, really quick. We thought that Logan McKenzie had a benefit, but look at that. Wojciech Swirdowicz is just running away, ladies and gentlemen. And again, together with James Carr. So maybe James Carr wasn't that bad. He did actually a really good pit stop. I am really curious, because this looks a little bit too fast to my liking. But the Slug is on that second position, holds that on strong. And then James Carr, of course, third position, holds on to that podium. And right behind him is Matt Zepka with Logan McKenzie, who is second and 1.2 or 5 seconds behind that. Look at that. What happened to Logan? Let's have a quick look. Let's see if we can find something in our past. Don't really see.
Yeah, I don't see anything in my event log either. But clearly something must have happened that dropped him out of that lead pack. You know, I'm also just looking back here.
Oh, look at this! I see what. No, I didn't see it. Sorry, I thought I saw it.
I'm looking back at the battle for P7. Jerome Bajulis is there, but Jerome is chasing down Francois Schink, who's running a P6, and Justin Rhodes is right behind Jerome Bajulis. And there's been some side-by-side action between Jerome and Justin Rhodes, and that's allowed now Ronald Method running a P9 to start to make contact with that set of cars.
Yeah, I'm not sure, by the way, on the time zone or anything else, but the fog is back in this race. So is that going to have some influence up here, Peter?
Gosh, you wouldn't think so. But, the other factor, Pim, as we were talking about before this broadcast started, is it's also a pretty windy day. And, I don't think these cars are that aero sensitive, but, you have to wonder if maybe the wind could also play a factor besides the fog.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get all the choppers back in to our track, because it's more and more difficult to see. But we do see Jerome Bajulas very close by Francois Schink. And the rest of the groups are a little bit further away. Wojciech Swirdowicz is really running away now, 3.2 seconds with the Slug. Then James Carr, Matt Zepka, Logan McKenzie. And then this group, where we do see is Ronald Method going to hold on, fighting for his life to keep in that draft. And behind there we see Gurkan Demir making a small mistake. Can hold that car, but then immediately Alex Olton takes that position with that beautiful tight car. Love to see that.
Well, and as we said earlier, we really can appreciate that kind of paint on a dark, foggy day like today.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't decide that it was also going to be a night race, because fog and night is going to be a great combination over here. I'm going to go back to Wojciech Swirdowicz. Is he making a mistake? Because he suddenly, the Slug is all the way back over there. You can't leave those guys alone, or they're immediately making it exciting.
Yeah, you do see him. Yeah, the Slug.
You know what happened? He actually made a big mistake over there and could hold that car just by a millimeter. And then immediately the Slug is right over there. So, interesting news. Wojciech Swirdowicz can actually make a mistake. Not enough to lose his position, of course, but hey, the Slug will take that and is now all the way back up over there. And this could actually be getting very interesting. And what about Matt Zepka? Is Matt Zepka coming back? And the fight with Jerome Bajalas and Justin Rhodes is all the way back.
That's right.
They're going to make an interesting battle.
In fact, Jerome just passed Justin Rhodes coming into turn 6. He's running in P7. He's really, Justin Rhodes, Jerome Bajalas have been trading that ownership of P7. And of course, the beneficiary of that battle continues to be Francois Schenk. It's giving Francois Schenk a more solid hold on that P6.
Yeah, and look at the end of this corner 1, because I'm curious to see what Ronald Metal is going to do. Is he going to hold on, or is he going to say, I'm going to go on that outside line and I'm just going to pass you both of them, because they are so racy, but really holding up that group. Alex Holton is getting close there as well. Gurken and Meer will attach to this group, and suddenly this is a 6-car battle that we have. Francois Schenk says, I don't want to do this. Let's go.
We are now at 4 minutes remaining in this race. So the way the timing works out, the next time that Wojciech Swiatovic passes the start-finish line, there will be 2 laps remaining in this feature.
Well, and he can't make one other mistake, because the slug is still in that draft. Will be difficult to actually catch him, but we've seen it before. He can make a mistake, so Slug is right over there for that 2nd position. Oh, and by the way, very nicely done, the Slug. I think he's going to be happy back on that podium.
Absolutely. As you were saying, Pim, you were talking to the Slug ahead of the race, and he wasn't feeling too confident about his ability to be fast here at Brands Hatch, but he certainly is proving himself wrong. He's plenty fast.
Yeah, he's plenty of fast. I do want to have a quick look if Matt Zepka can actually get any closer. It's currently 1.4 seconds. Really needs to push that car to get any closer or any chance on that podium. We'll be happy with those points that he's currently having on that 4th position. But hey, James Carr, look out. Matt Zepka's coming.
Meanwhile, that battle for the 6th position, Francois Schenk continues to hold it down, but Jerome Bajalas has now firmly made contact and is right on Francois Schenk's bumper as they come into turn 2. And so you have to have a belief that Jerome Bajalas will be trying to pull out his naked aggression here at some point with just less than 2 laps to go.
Yeah, but don't do that with Francois Schenk, because Francois Schenk knows the tricks of Jerome Bajalas. I think they've met before in these races, so that's going to be a very, very interesting fight that we see. In the front, we're not going there, but in the front we do see that the Slug is losing now control of Wojciech Swiatovic. So that will be pretty solid, steady over there. But Matt Zepka is getting closer to James Carr. He's pushing him further. And he's now in that draft, or nearly into the draft. And then, of course, we have that fight here for position number 6. Francois Schenk, Jerome Bajalas, Justin Rhodes, and Ronald Metholt. Is he going to make it? Ronald, come on. Oh, Justin Rhodes fighting again. I don't think Justin Rhodes knows when to attack and when not. When he sees a choice, he's just going for it. Look at that. He makes this fighting really, really interesting. It is a typical AlphaTauri car, I think.
I was watching the race clock, and I believe Wojciech Swiatovic crossed our finish line in time to extend this race by another lap. And so we'll also have to watch to see if all the cars have enough fuel to finish.
I'm just curious what James Carr is going to think about that, because James Carr was one of those drivers who was really, really quick, and also Wojciech Swiatovic was really quick on the in-lap. Right. Matt Zepka is hanging on, but can't get any closer to James Carr. Francois Schenk, pay attention, look at that. Jerome Bajalas trying to see if he can get there.
And watch out for Justin Rhodes right behind. And then, of course, Ronald Methout is just watching all of this, just waiting for these 2 cars to maybe get into trouble with each other.
Yeah, and don't look now, but Matt Zepka is getting so close that he's now really on that back. This is going to be very interesting for that podium position. It's not done yet. James Carr is not in this running yet. Matt Zepka needs to get there, and he is doing that. This is going to be a very interesting turn 1.
And Wojciech Swiatovic is passing start-finish line in time to extend another lap.
Oh, we get another lap. All right, so that's going to be interesting because James Carr is having Matt Zepka. I do think that James Carr is going to have to do some fuel saving over there. And that could bring Matt Zepka completely back into that podium position. And Peter, how is it going with the top 7, with the 7th position?
Oh, just on the fuel, Alex Othon has had to come in for a splash of fuel. Boy. And so unplanned extra lap in this race.
All right, well, the fight over there with Justin Rhodes and Jerome Bartulas, please have a good look at that. But I'm going to go back to Matt Zepka, who is getting closer and closer to James Carr. Has worked his way up, all the way up back to that 4th position, and is now having a look. Is he going to make it to the podium, or is it going to be James Carr? So, Peter, is this not going to be the last lap? You're sure?
This is the last lap.
This is the last lap. Okay, so Wojciech Swiatovic will take that 1st position. The Slug will take that 2nd position, but is Matt Zepka going to do it over there? I don't know where to look. Matt Zepka or Jerome Bartulas?
Jerome Bartulas is just right on Francois Schink's bumper. As Matt Zepka is coming up on James Carr's bumper, these are the 2 battles on track right now.
Yeah, and I do think that Matt Zepka is a little bit too far away for that, while Wojciech Swiatovic is now coming over to the line. The Slug is coming there. Matt Zepka is not even trying anymore, actually holding back. And then we go back to Francois Schenk, Jerome Bartulas, and Justin Rhodes. They're going to make the fight over here. They're going to see who's going to get those last points up here. Jerome Bartulas is looking, is now up to that 7th position. Is he going to make a move? Francois Schenk is holding on that inside line, and they're going side by side over here. Side by side, and then it is Bartulas who actually overtakes him, and Francois Schenk. No. Is it?
I don't know who crossed start finish line there in the lead. Did you see?
Well, no, I saw clearly Francois Schenk in the front, and then in my scoring tablet, Jerome Bartulas actually takes that 1st position. So I'm not sure if that was any time penalty or anything like that, but
wow,
well, doesn't really matter. It matters that Wojciech Swiatovic again took it to a victory. Great job from him. Behind him was the Slug. We see James Carr. Congratulations for that podium position. Great job from him. Well, we're looking here from the drone. I don't think we see that much going on, so I'm going to go back to Logan McKenzie, who will join us in the booth, but currently is maybe celebrating that top 5. What do you think, Peter?
Oh, absolutely. I think, for Logan McKenzie, he just needed to get that top 5 finish. It solidifies his season standing championship lead. I think he's sitting very pretty, very strong right now. I'm sure he's more than satisfied with that. But what a great drive for Wojciech Swiatovic. The Slug also. James Carr. James Carr really showed a lot of stuff today on track. And just, no surprise to see him up there on the podium.
No, I'm just curious, when are we not going to call him a rookie anymore? Does he need to have a full year? Or, if you have that many top 5s, we're just going to call you a pro up here. But same thing for Matt Zepka. Great job, 4th position. And we saw a lot of nice battles up here. I think that's, for me, the most important part. Having fun on these tracks. Gonna have a quick look if we can get any results up. Yes, we should get a result up. Not sure if it's the right result. But Wojciech Swiatovic, congratulations, winner of this race here at Brands Hatch. Then we see the Slug, James Carr, Matt Zepka, Logan McKenzie and Jerome Bartulas. Francois Schenk. Justin Rhodes was on that 1st position, but dropped a little bit further back and had some great fighting with Francois Schenk and Bartulas and Ronald Mathot. Great to see those battles going on. And yeah, Gurken Demir, Aaron La, Coney Huntley, Jonathan Beer, up there in that 13th position. Don Savio, Wiley Cox, Eric Stetzer, Alec Olton, and John Lozа, who had an awesome race, but we just didn't see it over there. We have some people in the booth, Peter. Let's do some interviews.
Yes, we do. And so, in fact, we have our P2 finisher, the Slug. Slugnificent. That was a great drive. Congratulations on that P2 finish. We were hearing that you weren't too confident about yourself on this track ahead of the race, but you sure proved yourself wrong, if nothing else. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, practice really pays off, doesn't it? My race was pretty quiet. I had some issues there in the first couple heats with a couple cars, but we sorted it out after a few laps, and I feel like I did well tonight, just to keep keep it on the track and actually finish one of these dang things.
One of the things we were seeing is a lot of really close side-by-side driving, even in the very dangerous turns like turns 6 and 7. What was going through your mind as you were seeing a lot of that kind of too wide situations, especially in those fast sweepers?
Opportunity, really. I mean, it really slows down the cars in front of you. This is the one kind of track where you really have to plan your passes a couple laps in advance. Those passes well in advance, and I mean, there's just not a lot of opportunity on this track, so you have to be creative.
Well, indeed. It looked like that long back straight that with the uphill and downhill. You guys were getting plenty of draft there, but not quite enough draft, not quite enough length on that straight to set up a pass there. So it looked to us in the broadcast booth like you were having to resort to much more courageous side-by-side attempts.
Yeah, I mean, you really had to, if you're in front, you really had to cover off the inside line. And if you're behind, it really gives you an opportunity to cross over. So you just had to be really precise in the way you were trying to pass. And you could get it done, but it was difficult for sure.
Well, it was fun to watch. We also have our P4 finisher, Matt Shupka. Matt, tell us a little bit about your race, and in particular, tell us what it was like starting P2 for the feature.
It was fun. I had a lot of fun. I didn't think I would have a lot of fun, but this track is so hard to pass at that when I started in the front row, I was like, this is my chance to win a race because no one can pass very easily here. But yeah, I was excited. I had fun. I almost killed Logan. No, I did kill Logan.
Well, Matt, in that feature, you did take the lead and you were leading quite a few laps. Was there a point where you thought about, trying to kind of work with the car behind you, or how long were you thinking about defending that P1 position?
So my plan, just to put it all out there, was I was going to back up Slug and hope that Woj would battle with them, and then try to undercut, really, and then it didn't work that way.
Right.
But I was defending as hard as I could, and I was like, all right, if I bunch them all up and then get out of the way, then they're going to fight each other. And then it worked out for James, I think, who undercut like that entire group of people and then came out way in front of me. But
right, we were noticing really huge differences in pit times, and so it was really one of the stories of the race. Speaking of which, we have Logan McKenzie, our P5 finisher, and I think even extending an even more commanding lead in the season standings. Logan, congratulations on a great finish. Just really solid drive. Tell us a little bit about your race.
Well, I'm glad you think it was solid because I could not. It was all down to the setup of the car today. I could, and even with the setup, I could have been up there with Matt and James at the end, but I got caught trying to calculate fuel coming down to the pits and went off track. So that was the end of that. But I just couldn't get the car to stick for the first 15 minutes of every race. And with these being sprints, that just, I couldn't make passes. And with it already being really hard to pass, I was just kind of sitting there just trying to survive.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the setup issues with these touring cars, because, these front drive cars, they will have a natural tendency to understeer. And so it looks like the setup has to be fairly aggressive with respect to brake bias. What do you go through in a typical week to get ready for one of these races with respect to your setup?
Well, I got to give a lot of credit to Slug here because he tweaks the setup a good bit for us coming into each race. We bounce feedback off of each other. Like coming into this week, he tweaked the suspension and made the car a lot less jittery over this rough track. And that was where I was having issues was just my style of like braking, trail braking. I was getting the car into flat spins, understeering crazy through the middle of certain corners, and I just couldn't get good runs off of corners where I needed them. But it's 1 week. The rest of the weeks, we're usually pretty on point with that, and I think Slug did a good job with it. So it was more of a me issue.
Well, even though it sounds like you're a little disappointed with your finish, top 5 finish in this field is pretty good, more than good. It's great, and of course it keeps you solidly in the lead for the season standings. We also have Jerome Bajulas in the booth. Jerome, you were really a fun driver to watch today, having to work through the field from the back. In that second sprint and in that feature. Tell us, I have to imagine you've got to be feeling a little tired out by now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, but I set up my own story tonight because I fucked up all alone like a big boy, like yeah, sleeping on cold tires, like all alone. So starting P23 after that was, and that was quite a fun night because it was just, trying to do the best with what I did to myself. So it was all attacking but I think it was really fun, really great race. The end with Francois and Justin, and also Ronald was really cool. I had in the features, the beginning, the first lap was a bit chaotic, and I think after 2 laps I was at 7x out of 9. So I was just praying all along, and with the intense battle in the end, I was like, I'm never gonna. There's no way I'm not getting a drive-through, but I managed to keep it until the very last centimeters, passing Francois on the line. And thank you very much, guys, for a great battle.
Well, that was incredibly exciting, and in fact, I was not able to see who crossed the line first between you and Francois, so incredibly close.
Yeah, it was like the I was waiting P7. It was written P7 on my relative for like 5 seconds after the finish line, and it just changed afterwards. I'm like, oh my god.
And so you start P23. You finish that second heat in I think P10, and then you go from P10 to finish in the feature in P6. So you probably passed more cars on track than any other driver today. So tell us, what do you consider the prime passing opportunities for these cars at Brands Hatch?
Yeah, I think, but there's a lot. I think the Hyundai Elantra has a very big advantage in terms of braking. You can brake so much later than all the other cars. So there was a lot of times that I just noticed that I was braking later than the guy in front of me. So honestly, it was like for me the turn 2 it is, I think, the 180 degrees over there. I don't remember the name. It was a good passing opportunity. I was braking later than everybody, so I passed Francois I think twice there, and so yeah, just braking later thanks to that car, I think, because I'm usually not a late breaker. But
well, you'll have to watch the the stream later. But Pim, while you were talking, has been just trying to get a close-up of the finish line between you and Francois, and I still can't tell who crossed the line.
Yeah, that was ridiculously close.
Very close, yes. Well, anyway, let's go down the line here. See if I'll start with Matt Shupka, our P4 finisher. Matt, any shout-outs? Anything? Anyone you'd like to thank? Matt, I think
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, I always want to thank my girlfriend because she lets me spend time putting in hundreds of laps a week to try to compete with everyone here. And then I want to give a shout out to everyone here because it's like really fun to race with everyone. And I think like between practice sessions and the races and the features and the reverse grids, like I got to race with like a lot of people and everyone's really nice. Everyone's very helpful, so I appreciate that. So
fantastic. Logan, our season standings P1 sitter right now, P5 finisher tonight. Logan, any shout outs you'd like to give?
Shout out to you guys as always. Shout out to Slug because he's a great teammate, but he's creeping up on me on the points, so our racing may get a little bit less friendly if he starts to beat me a lot in these last couple of races. But yeah, I'm still pretty tired from the race, and I can't think of much else to thank.
Fantastic. And Jerome, our hard charger of the night, any final shout outs from you?
Yeah, wanted to throw a little shout out to Ronald Method. Thank you very much for running hard and clean with me in E2 and in the feature. It was really, really cool. And also, of course, Francois and Justin, who gave me a lot of work in the end of the features. It was really, really nice. And all the other people that I passed tonight for letting me do it.
Fantastic. Well, Pim, hand it back to you.
Wow. Well, it was an amazing race. I want to thank everybody for watching. We had some issues in the beginning. Luckily, we could resolve them and could see an amazing race with all those drivers. Next race going to be even more exciting. We're getting closer to that end, and as Logan was saying, the slug is getting a little bit closer. So maybe we do get a fight within that team Yellow Flag Motorsport. But for now, I want to thank everybody. Have a great evening. We'll see each other back on Wednesday, where we have our Underdog Racing League. I think it's close to the finals. Hopefully, we can do some last racing over there. For now, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.